After paying their debts for years, my family cut me out of the wedding. You know that feeling when you realize you've been someone's ATM for years? Yeah, that was me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It was a Tuesday night, around 10. The office was dead quiet except for my keyboard clicking away and the occasional hum of the printer. I was putting together this huge proposal. 50 grand worth of work for one of our best clients. 2 months of grinding was finally paying off, and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Then my phone lit up. It was a group text from my sister Emma. No, hey, no, can we talk? Just 6 words that made my stomach drop. You're out of the wedding planning. Tyler thinks it's best. I sat there staring at my screen, waiting for more. An explanation. A thank you for everything. Hell, even an apology. But the chat went silent. I scrolled up and saw the group name, Emma's Big Day Squad. Mom was in there. Dad too. Her fiancé Tyler. Everyone saw that message, and not one person said a word. I called home immediately. Mom picked up on the second ring, and before I could even speak, she sighed. Don't start with the drama, Marcus. Drama? I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I just got kicked out of a wedding I've been funding. $8,000, Mom. 8,000. Here we go again with the money talk, she said, like I just insulted her entire existence. You always make everything about money. In the background, I heard Dad's voice. Just let them handle it, Marcus. You're too controlling anyway. I'm controlling? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You literally asked me to handle the payments because Tyler's credit was maxed out. You always complicate things, Dad said, louder now. They'll figure it out on their own. I hung up. No goodbye, just a hard press on the end call button. For a minute, I just sat there in my office chair, staring at this framed photo on my desk from last year's company barbecue. Everyone smiling. Emma, Tyler, even me. Back then, they called me the rock of the family. Now I was getting tossed aside like old furniture. I opened my laptop and pulled up my personal finance folder. Then I called Jessica, our company's bookkeeper. Jess, I need you to back up every single document with my name on it. Contracts, receipts, invoices, everything. She rubbed her eyes. It was late. All of it. Everything I've signed or paid for in the last year. She didn't ask why. Jess had worked with me long enough to know when something serious was going down. While she worked on the backup, I started going through my emails. Venue deposit. $3,500 on my personal credit card. Flowers. $500. Tuxedo rentals billed to Parker Enterprises under my name because, quote, it's easier that way. Honeymoon deposit in my name because Tyler's card got declined. I made a new spreadsheet. Wedding costs so far, $9,750. Not 1 cent reimbursed. Here's the thing, I wasn't even mad at first. I was just stunned. Stunned at how easily they cut me out of something I'd practically built for them. Let me back up and tell you about my family. My name's Marcus Parker. I'm 32, and I run operations at Parker Construction, the company my dad, Richard, started back in the 90s. My mom, Linda, handles what she calls client relations, which mostly means lunch meetings and gossip sessions. I'm the one actually running things. Payroll, scheduling, bids, hiring, firing. The whole operation. My sister Emma doesn't work with us. She's 28 and calls herself a lifestyle influencer, which means she posts photos of coffee cups and sunsets hoping someone will sponsor her. Tyler, her fiancé, is always talking about his big opportunities that never seem to materialize. And for years, I've been the one cleaning up everyone's messes. The next morning, I got to the office early and started digging through our company accounts. Every transaction, every invoice. I wasn't angry, just curious. Curious how deep this pattern really went. See, Dad's been using the same lines my whole life. You're good with money, son. We'll pay you back after the refinance. There was always another refinance. Always another excuse. Around lunch, our family lawyer, David Chen, stopped by to drop off some permits. We were going over signatures when he casually flipped through a folder and said, "Oh, by the way, that ownership transfer went through. Tyler's officially a 15% partner now." I froze. Partner? In what? David tapped the company name at the top of the page. Parker Construction. With what money? I asked. He squinted at the document. They reclassified your previous loan advances as capital contributions under your name, then issued Tyler 15% against that equity. I stared at him. So, I paid for it. That's what the paperwork says. He closed the folder. I assumed you signed off on it. He left before I could even stand up. I walked straight to Jessica's desk. We're changing access to everything. Today. She looked up, concerned. To what? All company cards except mine. Cancel them. Turn off auto payments. Move every login to my account only. She hesitated. Marcus, that's going to cause problems. They'll survive. I stood there while she pulled up the systems and started sending cancellation emails. I wasn't taking chances anymore. Back in my office, I opened our bank portal and started looking at recent charges. Several payments labeled consulting fees and marketing incentives in Tyler's name. They weren't there 2 weeks ago. I took screenshots of everything. By 3 o'clock, Mom called. Your father says the company cards aren't working. That's because I canceled them. Why on earth would you do that? Because they were being misused. Tyler needs access now that he's a partner, she said, her voice rising. Then he can use his own cards, I said calmly. If you wanted him to have control, you should have used your own money. She made this exasperated sound. You've always been so cold, Marcus. Maybe if people stopped taking advantage of me, I'd warm up. I hung up. By late afternoon, I'd changed every password, updated every signature requirement, and made backup copies of all our files. Jessica brought me printed confirmations. All cards disabled except yours. Autopays shut off. New payroll access is on your desk. Thanks, Jess. Go home early. When she left, I pulled up our vendor list. Most names I recognized: lumber suppliers, equipment rentals, the usual. But there were 2 new entries tied to Tyler's consulting connections. No tax forms, no physical addresses. Just shell companies. I saved everything to a flash drive and emailed copies to myself. Subject line: Personal records. At 6, Dad stormed into my office. What the hell did you do to the cards? Secured them. They were working fine. They were being misused, I repeated. His face went red. You think you're smarter than everyone else? No, I said, packing up my laptop. Just more careful. He started another sentence, but I was already walking out. That night at home, I sat at my kitchen table and added one final line to my spreadsheet. Personal funds spent on family/business, unreimbursed, $30,000. Next to it, I typed 2 words: no more. I closed the laptop and stared at the dark screen. For years, I'd been taught that being responsible meant fixing everything. Paying, managing, smoothing things over. Turns out, all it did was make me an easy target. The next morning, I stopped thinking and started acting. I pulled up every wedding vendor contract still in my name and made calls. Venue first. Hi, I need to cancel the booking under Marcus Parker. The manager paused, then confirmed. Refunds go back to the original payment method. Perfect. I went down the list. Florist, caterer, tuxedo rental, honeymoon travel agency. Every call was quick and polite. When they asked what happened, I just said, plans changed. By afternoon, refund confirmations started hitting my inbox. I created a new folder on my desktop. Refunds verified. Every PDF went straight in there. It felt weirdly calm, like sorting laundry. No emotion, just cleaning up what was already mine. Around 10, the office door slammed open. Tyler walked in wearing his usual too-tight shirt, reeking of cheap cologne. You can't just pull funding, he said, trying to sound tough. I didn't even look up. Wasn't funding. Was a refund. Big difference. He walked up to my desk. You think you're hurting me? You're just screwing over your sister. Then maybe she should have checked who was signing the checks before sending that text. He stood there breathing hard, trying to look intimidating. You got a problem with me? Say it to my face, he said. I am, I replied calmly. You're fired as an employee. Partner or not, you're cut off from spending and systems. Leave the office. He laughed. You can't cut me off. I'm a partner. Then use your 15% to pay your own vendors, I said. This conversation's over. He opened his mouth again, but I pointed to the door. Out. He shouldered past Jessica's desk on his way out, nearly knocking papers to the floor. She looked at me wide-eyed. What was that about? Nothing I can't handle, I said. Just clearing out dead weight. An hour later, Dad showed up. Same angry tone he always used when yelling didn't work. I just got a call from Tyler. What the hell are you doing? Managing my accounts. You're making a scene. The wedding's in 4 weeks. Then maybe you should use your own card next time, I said, gathering my files. Don't you walk away from me, Marcus. I walked past him anyway. I'm not walking away. I'm just done being your bank. I left him standing in the hallway, red-faced and stuttering. By that afternoon, my phone was blowing up. First, Mom's texts. You've gone too far. Then Emma posted something on Instagram. She wrote this long caption about how her toxic brother had ruined her special day out of jealousy. It's the kind of thing people post when they need strangers to take their side. I didn't comment. Didn't even read the whole thing. But by evening, the comments had turned. People were asking who paid for what. Some of our relatives jumped in, reminding her who'd been covering deposits. Then screenshots started appearing. Old texts of her thanking me for paying. I didn't leak anything. The internet doesn't need help finding receipts. Mom called 3 times that night. I let it ring. Dad texted once. Fix this before you embarrass us all. I didn't respond. When I got to work the next morning, Jessica looked nervous. Your family's all over social media, she said. I figured, I replied. She paused. You okay? I checked my email. Another batch of refund confirmations had come through overnight. I dragged them into the folder without looking at her. Better than I've been in years, I said. She nodded and got back to work. The rest of the day, I kept my head down. Treated every email, every phone call, every project like normal maintenance. Because that's all it was. Maintenance. I wasn't sabotaging anything. I was just removing my name from the chaos. By evening, I shut down the computer and sat for a moment in the silence. The office was empty again, just like the night I got that text. Only difference was the weight was gone. My phone buzzed. Emma this time, not a group text. Just one line. I hope you're happy. I set the phone face down on the desk and stood up. They wanted a villain? Fine. They could have one. I locked the door, turned off the lights, and walked out of the building. Silence gets louder when people expect an apology. By early summer, everything started to crack wide open. The family group chat, the one I'd muted months ago, started lighting up again. I glanced at it just to see what was happening. You owe your sister happiness. If you don't fix this, you'll embarrass us. I left it all on read. The next morning, I started getting calls from vendors we'd worked with for years. First was Evergreen Lumber, one of our main suppliers. The manager sounded uneasy. Hey Marcus, just wanted to double-check this new billing email. It says TC Consulting now. That legit? I sat up straight. Where'd you get that address? From Richard. He said it was the updated office contact. Don't send anything there, I told him. Keep using the old invoices. Nothing changes unless I say so. After I hung up, I checked the company email. Sure enough, there was a new thread from that morning. Dad had forwarded several contracts from his account to Tyler at tc-consulting.com. No explanation, No copy to me or Jessica. Tyler was building his own side door into our accounts. I walked out to the main office. Jessica was typing fast, looking stressed. "They're acting weird," she said quietly. "Your mom and Tyler both called asking for the master invoice log. Said they needed to adjust billing dates." "Don't send it," I said. She nodded. "They told me you approved it." "I didn't." She hesitated. "They also want me to backdate and sign last month's purchase orders. Retroactive to March." "No," I said firmly. "Keep copies of everything they ask for. Every text, every email, every file. Don't argue, just save it somewhere safe." Her voice dropped. "Marcus, this is fraud, right?" "Maybe," I admitted. "Just protect yourself. I'll handle everything else." I went back to my office, closed the door, and opened the shared drives. Half the company folders had been renamed. Tyler's initials were all over them. TC Jobs, TC Core, TC Payroll Consolidation. He was trying to build a mirror company inside ours, using our vendors and contracts. That afternoon, Dad walked in without knocking. His shirt was untucked, face flushed. "What the hell are you doing, locking us out of our own systems?" "I didn't lock you out," I said evenly. "You tried to create new ones." "I'm hearing from suppliers that you're blocking payments." "I'm blocking fraud." "Watch your mouth, kid," he yelled. "You don't call your father a fraud. Then stop approving fake invoices." He stared at me like he didn't know whether to shout or throw something. Instead, he said, "You're destroying this family." "No," I said. "You did that when you let Tyler touch the books." He slammed the door on his way out. Later that week, I started hearing things from job site foremen. Subcontractors were complaining they hadn't been paid in 2 months. I checked our expense log. Payments were marked as sent, but the account numbers didn't match our regular vendors. Tyler's email trail was all over them. I called one of the subs directly. "This is Marcus from Parker Construction. Did you receive your May payment?" "Not a dime," he said. "We were told to resubmit invoices to some new address. Some consulting firm." "What name?" "TC Consulting." I stopped pretending to be surprised. That night, after everyone left, I sat in the dark office with just the glow of my monitor. I went through every accounting folder I could access and downloaded everything. Transactions, pay stubs, bank statements, every questionable entry tied to Tyler's name. When it was done, I created an encrypted archive on my flash drive. It took 3 hours. Every file had to be checked, renamed, and dated. I didn't alter anything on the company servers. I just made sure I had a clean record of what happened before anyone tried rewriting history. By midnight, I had a complete record of what my family had become. Fake vendors. Redirected payments. A growing list of unpaid invoices. The next morning, Jessica looked exhausted. "Richard showed up at a job site yesterday and started screaming at the crew," she told me. "Accused them of ruining the company. Said the unpaid subs were from office mistakes. Some guys threatened to walk. One already quit. I told her to stay out of it. Don't take calls from my parents," I said. "If they need something, they go through me." She grimaced. "Marcus, how bad is this?" "Bad enough that I'm keeping everything backed up," I said. "That's all you need to know." By the weekend, the company was barely functioning. Clients were calling about delays. Workers were asking if they'd still get paid. And my parents kept pretending everything was fine. At home, Mom left another voicemail. "I don't understand why you're trying to hurt us. Families should stick together." I deleted it before listening to the rest. Truth is, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was just making sure their mess didn't bury me too. That Sunday night, I sat at my kitchen table again with that flash drive plugged into my laptop. I opened the encrypted archive and started scrolling through the files. Vendor lists. Payroll records. Bank transactions. Hundreds of emails. They used to call me the safety net. Now I was just catching whatever fell through. By July, things reached a breaking point. Every day at the office felt heavier. Quiet hallways, dropped calls, half the staff walking on eggshells. That morning, I came in early to finish a bid and found Richard and Tyler already waiting in my office, both standing with their arms crossed. This wasn't a meeting. It was an ambush. Richard spoke first. "We've been getting complaints." "From who?" I asked. "Clients," he said sharply. "They're nervous. You're cutting people off, questioning invoices, making us look disorganized." I glanced at Tyler. "We are disorganized." Tyler jumped in. "This attitude is the problem. You're making everyone think something shady's going on." "Something shady is going on," I said flatly. "You rerouted vendor payments to your shell company." Richard slammed his hand on the desk. "Enough. You're not accusing family of theft. I'm stating facts." He leaned closer. "You're out of control, making us all look bad." I held his gaze. "I stopped making people look good." He sighed and switched to his fake calm voice. "We need you to take a step back. Temporary leave. Just until things cool down." I understood exactly what that meant. "So you're firing me?" "No," he said quickly. "Just a break. Send me the paperwork." Tyler actually smiled, like he'd won something. "We'll have our lawyer draw it up," Richard said. I nodded and sat down. Richard pulled a document from his briefcase. The papers were already printed. He didn't even bother hiding it. "Sign here. Acknowledging voluntary leave." I skimmed it. Standard release form. No severance, no liability. I signed it. There. Problem solved. "Good," Richard said, relaxing slightly. "We'll handle things from here." "I'm sure you will." Before they could say anything else, I turned on my computer, plugged in my flash drive, and quietly transferred the remaining files from the shared system. Project files. Emails. Payroll data. Final contracts. Tyler noticed and started to object, but I cut him off. "It's my work. I'm taking what's mine." When the progress bar hit 100%, I ejected the drive, pocketed it, and stood up. "We're done here." Richard tried to say something else about family loyalty, but I was already past them. Neither one followed. That afternoon at home, I was going through emails when the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Emma stood there, mascara smeared, hand shaking. I opened the door halfway. "You ruined everything," she said, her voice breaking. "You couldn't handle not being in control, so you just burned it all down." "No," I said. "I stopped paying for your fantasy." "You're unbelievable," she shouted. "You're supposed to be my brother." I was. Right up until you cut me out in a group text. She started crying, then yelling again. Everything poured out in waves. The wedding was canceled, people were gossiping, Mom thought I'd lost my mind. I didn't interrupt. Just stood there until she ran out of things to say. My laptop dinged on the desk behind me. An email from the venue manager. "Per your request, we have reinstated the original wedding booking. Please confirm payment details." I opened it and read it again. The message matched my writing style. Same subject line. Same signature block. I pulled the full email headers. The IP address traced back to my parents' home Wi-Fi. I turned the screen toward Emma. "Tell Mom to at least change the subject line next time." She froze, her face going pale. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about your family impersonating me to steal back a reservation I paid for." "That's not true," she said, but her voice cracked halfway through. I closed the laptop and stepped back from the door. "You should go." Emma stood there for a moment, then left without another word. Just the sound of her car peeling out of the driveway. That night, I went through the company insurance folder. Something I'd ignored for years because it was always buried under tax filings. Halfway through, I found a key person life insurance policy listing me as the insured. 3 months ago, someone filed an ownership change from Parker Construction to Linda Parker. Then a beneficiary update naming Emma. Premium payments were still being processed through the company. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the document. They'd set it up so if anything happened to me, she'd collect. I laughed once. Not angry, just exhausted. It felt like confirmation of what I already knew. They didn't see me as family anymore. Just a resource. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "You'll regret crossing us." I typed back, "Already don't," and blocked the number. I started a new spreadsheet. Called it Clean Records, July. Something a court clerk might say without thinking twice. I began listing every transaction tied to me. Loans, reimbursements, deposits, refunds. Everything. No editorializing. No opinions. Just facts. When I finished, I labeled it Exhibit B in my notes and saved it twice. Once locally, once on the cloud. They expected me to fight. But there was nothing left to fight about. They wanted chaos. I wanted records. By fall, the Parkers were pretending everything was fine again. Emma and Tyler had a quick courthouse wedding. No dress, no guests. Just a photo in front of a brick wall with the caption, "Simple love beats big drama." It looked like a hostage photo. I didn't comment or text. A week later, she messaged me. "Can I borrow $5,000 to get ahead on bills? Tyler's commission check hasn't cleared yet." I stared at the message for a moment, then replied, "Sure. You'll get a loan agreement shortly." I opened a contract template from my files, added her name, set the interest rate at 6% over 6 months, and included a collateral clause using her engagement ring as security in case of default. No games. Just clear legal language. I signed it and sent it as a PDF. 2 hours later, it came back with her digital signature at the bottom. No message attached. I transferred the funds. No emojis. No congratulations. Business only. The next morning, I met Jessica at a coffee shop near the industrial park. She looked tired but calm. I slid 2 thin folders across the table. One labeled Refunds Confirmed. The other a collection of company account records. She looked at them, then at me. "You sure you want me to file these?" "Yes," I said. "File everything clean. No favors for anyone. Not me, not them." She opened the folders and flipped through. "There are a lot of mismatched numbers here." "I know. I'm not fixing them. Just filing them the right way." She nodded slowly. "This is going to raise questions." "Good," I said. We finished breakfast mostly in silence. When we stood to leave, she paused. "Marcus, if this goes south, they're going to blame you." "They already do," I replied. "This just gives them a reason they can't argue with." Over the next 2 weeks, Jessica completed the company's year-end bookkeeping. She didn't hide anything. Every duplicate invoice. Every fake vendor. Every expense in Tyler's name. The accounting software flagged the discrepancies automatically. After that, we had no control over what happened next. It didn't take long. Within 10 days, she sent me a brief email from our accounting platform. Subject line, "Account irregularities detected. Flagged to your connected external CPA. Audit-ready packet available upon request." She added one line beneath it, "It's done." I replied, "Thank you." That was it. No big speech, no drama. Just a process doing what it was designed to do. Record and correct. A few days later, I packed up some things for Emma. I didn't owe her a gift, but I wanted to close the loop. I used a simple matte black box. Inside, I placed a printed copy of her signed loan agreement, the actual refund receipt from the wedding venue, and a small engraved metal plate with 3 words, "Paid in full." I left the box with the front desk worker at her apartment building. No note. She'd understand either way. That evening, my phone buzzed with a voicemail. David Chen, the family lawyer, sounding cautious. "Hey Marcus. Heads up. Auditors have requested full company records. Not sure what triggered it, but it's official now. Call me when you can." I didn't call back. I listened once, then saved it and deleted it. At that point, I wasn't angry anymore. Wasn't even curious how it would play out. I'd spent months watching my family twist every situation to their advantage. The system they'd exploited was finally paying attention. It wasn't revenge. It was math. Every action had a record. Every lie had a timestamp. All I did was stop cleaning up after them. After that, things quieted down at work. I still had side projects and a few loyal clients who'd followed me from the company. I didn't broadcast what happened. Just kept working, filing, documenting. Jessica came by with a flash drive of backup copies. Just in case. I put it in my safe that weekend and labeled it Company 2025 Final. A week later, I heard through a mutual friend that Tyler was panicking about tax issues. He'd started calling everyone he knew, claiming the system had glitched and scrambled their accounts. Typical. My parents kept acting like nothing was wrong, telling people payroll had been delayed due to bureaucratic errors. I said nothing. The truth doesn't need help. That night, sitting at my kitchen table, I opened a new spreadsheet. I labeled it Post-Company Assets and listed my balances, savings, upcoming projects. All clean. All honest. My phone buzzed. Mom texted, "You should fix this before it gets worse." I didn't reply. There was nothing to fix. I turned off my phone, closed the laptop, and leaned back in my chair. They'd built their empire on silence and favors. I built mine on documents. I didn't tell on anyone. I just stopped lying for them. By winter, the letters started arriving. Thick white envelopes with state seals and long reference numbers. All heading straight to the Parker house. First came demands for documentation, tax revisions, account reviews. Every week, another one showed up. A friend who still worked at the office told me the stack on Richard's desk looked like a phone book. He was ranting every morning, pacing between his office and the break room, blaming clerical errors and snitches. Then, it hit the rest of them. Emma's car got repossessed right outside her gym parking lot. Someone filmed it and posted it online. She tried to spin it with a caption, "Dealing with haters and financial stress, but staying positive." The comments were brutal. Mom rushed to Facebook, posting about how the unfair system was targeting small family businesses. She framed herself as a mother victimized by bureaucracy. Richard posted his own rant about betrayal by your own blood. People shared screenshots of both posts with laughing emojis. Parker Construction was unofficially dead by January. Suppliers were talking about unpaid balances, fake invoices, missing checks. Clients backed out of contracts. The Parker name became a warning instead of a reference. I stayed quiet. I still had copies of everything, but I didn't need to use them. The truth was already working on its own. Then came the lawsuit. A process server showed up at my door with a thick packet labeled Civil Complaint. The Parkers, my parents and Tyler, were suing me for business sabotage and willful interference with operations. I read it once. The claims were vague, emotions dressed up in legal language. They were seeking damages, reputational restoration, even court costs. I called the number listed for their attorney. David Chen. "Did you actually file this?" I asked. He sighed. They insisted. I advised against it. "When's the deposition?" 2 weeks. He paused before hanging up. "Marcus, you might actually want to come to this one." The deposition happened in a plain downtown office. No judge, no drama. Just a long table, a court reporter, and stacks of papers. My parents sat on one side, arms crossed, faces tight. Tyler looked like he hadn't slept in days. Emma didn't show. Their lawyer started by listing claims about how I'd disrupted systems, restricted access, and caused a financial audit out of retaliation. When it was my turn, I said one sentence. I left in July. The system started auto-flagging vendor discrepancies in June. The formal audit engagement began in September. I didn't trigger anything. My attorney slid a document across the table. "That's correct," he said. The accounting platform began auto-flagging those discrepancies in June, before Mr. Parker left. The external audit engagement began in September. That timeline is documented. Richard's jaw tightened. Mom muttered something under her breath. Tyler just stared at the table. Their lawyer tried to object, but my attorney kept going. For the record, documentation exists for all transactions. None of it points to Marcus Parker as the source of the issue. The court reporter paused long enough to feel the air leave the room. Their lawyer closed his folder. No further questions. We were done. On his way out, my attorney slid 2 folders across the table. One marked Refunds Confirmed as Exhibit A. The other marked Clean Records, July, as Exhibit B. No speeches. Just labels. Later, Richard caught up with me in the hallway. His voice shook. "You destroyed this family's name." I looked at him. I didn't destroy anything. I just balanced the books. He didn't respond. Just walked away muttering about loyalty. That afternoon, I signed my final separation paperwork. The company owed me unpaid vacation pay and a small percentage of past projects. I accepted the payout via direct deposit only. That was it. A week later, their lawyer sent a notice of voluntary dismissal. By February, I'd started my own firm, Parker Ledger Group. 1 person, 1 desk, 1 laptop. I didn't want crews or overhead. Just small business clients who needed clean records and honest advice. I worked quietly out of a rented office downtown. A few old contacts found me through word of mouth. The work wasn't flashy, but it was steady. Jessica helped me set up the systems. She'd gone freelance as an accountant by that point. "Feels weird starting over," she said one night as we went through new client files. "It's better this way," I said. "Smaller. Cleaner." She smiled. "And quieter." Exactly. The next morning, I walked into my small office, made coffee, and opened my client dashboard. The sunlight hit the blinds just right, and for the first time in years, I felt no obligation to anyone. They called it betrayal. I call it balance. I didn't break up the family. I just stopped carrying them.